Texas Trade Talks with Paul Watson.
A good clean uniform, good tools clean, my boots are polished. I am that professional when I show up. You know, my wife, she makes fun of me all the time because what you see me wear Monday through Friday is what I wear on the weekends. It's what I wear to church. She calls me Al Borland, if y'all remember the home improvement, because 90% of everything I have is plaid. But you know, this is it. This is me. But I want to be presentable to my people, so they'll call me back. Mm-hmm. You know, when I go out and give the quotes, give the bids, a lot of times you're like, "Well, are you going to be the one doing the work?" Well, I'm just doing the estimate on it, but you know, my guys are just as qualified. Yes. But it impresses me that they asked me that while I was there. You know, and you know, that's what I want all my employees to be. Exactly. You know, I want them to be dressed nice. I want their tools to look nice. I want their vans to look nice. Those vans that we have, everybody in the Amarillo area knows Patrick because we have the white and blue vans. They're driving the huge billboards running around town.
Much,
you know, and we're not the only ones. Frank's Plumbing had the pink, white, and black trucks the entire time I've lived here 20 years. They've never changed. They're always the same. But you know that's a Frank's truck just by the color of it. You know, so it's a signature marking. Everybody knows Patrick's. You know, when I bought the company, that's the first thing I thought of. Was like, should I change the name?
No.
Right.
No. Bobby Patrick was the first 24/7 electrician in Amarillo. He was the only 24-hour on-call electrician in Amarillo from 1979. You know, and he prided himself on that. He built a name for himself. He made some kooky commercials.
He did.
Goofy commercials where he's laying in bed and he's wearing a nightgown and a nightcap, you know, a stocking cap or whatever. And, you know, the older crowd, especially the older crowd, still remember that. Well, a lot of our service work that we do is for people that's been using us for 25, 30 years. You know, and they're like, hey, did Bobby really wear that? I don't know. I didn't sleep in the same room with him. You know, it's just a dumb. It was a dumb TV commercial, but it stuck. It was his signature of his. And so we did in I forgot what year it was, but it was after we transitioned from ownership from Bobby to us. We filmed a commercial in his house, and he was back in bed with his nightgown on and his cap. And you know, it sounded pretty cool. It was going to be a cool commercial. The phone would ring, his eyes pop open like I'm awake, and he reaches for the phone, and then here I am standing beside him. I grabbed the phone and said, "No, Bobby, I got it from here," showing the transition of the ownership. Okay, I didn't think after, you know, it was beautiful. It was a great commercial. But after the fact, somebody asked me, it's like, why were you creeping this dude in his bedroom? And it didn't hit me.
It dawned on you. You're like,
and now when I see that commercial, I'm like, oh, that is like creepy. That is creepy. But yeah, you know, the phone rings, his eyes pop open, and it's like, hey, Bobby, I got it from here. And I was like, that is so creepy because he's asleep and I'm standing over him in his bedroom.
Just watching him?
Yeah. So we didn't think that one through. We didn't think that one through very well, but it you know.
But the idea, though, that I still think that was clever, though, because it touched on what he has always done, what he'd always carried, and you were there to take over the reins.
It was his commercial, and then I transitioned to taking over, and then in the closing scene of it, we're all standing, my entire company, all the guys, we're standing in front of the vans, and it was a handshake, like turning over the keys. Right. You know, I thought it was a great tribute. I didn't know it was going to be so creepy.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
So
that's good.
It's still out there in YouTube land too. Actually,
I'm gonna find it.
You
know, when we find it, maybe we should attach it to this podcast. You know, just go ahead and throw it in here.
We'll have a link to it right here.
Yeah. Look right here.
So, you know, with us. The Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners, just so you guys know, if you ever need to know if the person that's showing up to your house, if they're not in a marked truck and their letters aren't 2 inches in height and they don't have the numbers on the front part of that truck or anywhere on that truck, they're most likely not licensed. And if they do show up and they don't have they don't have the markings on the truck and they present you a blue card or a red card, they're technically not legally allowed to plumb on your house either because they have to be under the supervision of a responsible master plumber. So you want to legally, if you ask us when we show up, Are you a licensed plumber? We are legally required to show you that license. And on the back of that license, it has all the information you need to know to vet us out. And on the front, you'll have our license number. Is it the same? Is it that the same way with you?
Absolutely, same laws apply. Even to the point of our quotes, our invoices, everything that we have has to have
Has to have your master license on there.
Has to have the license number on it and a way to contact the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation.
So do they make you so? Joe, we're all three masters here. So when we put out an invoice, Joe's going to be the master for licensed plumbing. So when we actually implement that, and he takes over as the master plumber there, he's going to have to put his name and his master license number on that invoice.
Yeah, that's a little bit different than the electrical side.
Okay.
Electrical, the master of the company doesn't have to have their master license on there at all. We just have our contractor license. The contractor number is the one that you see on the trucks, the TECL, and ours is 34674. That is assigned to that master of the company, more or less. Like when I bought Patrick Electric, ours was TECL 17700. It was a very low number. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah,
17700.
Yeah.
But when I bought it from Bobby, that was attached to him, and we had to relicense everything because it changed. Now my master license number is 313089. But my contractor is 34674. And that's the one that we have to have on the invoices. That's the one we have to have on our vehicles, our business cards. Any and all official correspondence has to have that on there.
Gotcha.
And seeing our licenses, man, I haven't been out in the field in the last 6 months.
Are we going to compare cards?
Oh, damn,
Yeah.
I don't even have my master's yet. It's still in the mail.
So, like,
Only got
we
my
have
J card.
We have our licenses here, and it gives you where your license number is. I actually have both. It tells you the name, tells you the license number on the back. It gives you the information of where you need to go to vet them. And so what you see here, our license number is what you see on the side of the trucks. The
Right.
33307. So, and then of course, our journey, we have our, that's our journey is much different. So,
So is your master a gold?
Yes.
yes, it's
Okay,
gold.
so that I guess it's a Texas thing, gold cards.
Yeah.
So that's master.
We're gold status,
And this
baby.
one is a registered HVAC tech.
Okay, all right. And see, when you do your master license, you get your journeyman's license.
It's an
And so I
automatic.
carry both because I, like you, there's times I have to go out in the field. I've either got to support the team or they've got an issue that they want an extra set of eyes on, a different perspective. So we have to carry that. And you just passed your master test, so you're waiting for the board to give it to you.
Yeah, I'm just waiting. I thought it was going
He's
to
still
be
a
in
master.
this week.
He passed his test.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Hey.
that's what I'm talking about.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah, well, for me and Joe, when we first met, we were those dumb young idiots that didn't have our heads together. And even when I worked at Patrick's, I wasn't exactly looking back on it. You'll always get a perspective on your, where you were at.
We had a discussion about your maturity the other day at the shop.
Yeah,
from when you was an employee, years ago to now.
Uh-oh.
So we see that. We
Okay.
see that. It's
Well,
a good thing. It's
Okay,
absolutely a
good.
thing.
Because when I was there, I know I wasn't the best that I could be, but when I was out in that field, I thought about profitability. I had one of the guys tell me when I was working over at Frank's. He said, "You're my best. You're not my best helper. In fact, the only reason I even keep you around is because you show up." That's it. That was Joel Jim, and I am super glad that he was forthright with me. He was honest, because that was an instant crap. I am the lowest man on the totem pole. My value here is abysmal.
Yeah, you're a number.
Yeah,
That's all you are is a number.
exactly. I bring no value to the team, so I'm a joke. You know what I mean? So that was a life-changing moment for me. And I completely changed my game after that. And when I was working in Patrick, it was always about how can I make sure my truck's profitable. Now I had some anger issues. I was going through some emotional stuff. I lost a lot of people while I was working at Patrick. So on the emotional side, I felt like I made some huge gains there. But I always wanted to be profitable. Because if I wasn't profitable, then that means I was just an expendable. And if I'm an expendable, that means I don't hold any value, and that means I don't have any roots.
Exactly.
So there was a couple times Hobie he got onto my butt, and there was a couple times you said some things, but they were all justified. everything that Hobie or you ever said, I earned that. You know what I mean? It was through my stupid decisions that got to that opinion. It wasn't because I was being judged. It was because I was making poor decisions. But Hobie was graceful. And I honestly think that if I hadn't been as good a plumber as I was, that he'd have been like, I ain't putting up with your shit. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, that's the thing. You put up with a lot of stuff if if there's nobody standing behind you to take your spot.
Right.
But now, where you're at now, it's a different story.
It is a different story.
Because you got skin in the game.
100%.
You're not that one that's trying to make your truck profitable for the company. You're trying to make all your trucks under you profitable at this point. And so that your mindset is totally different. You know, even when I was a journeyman out in the field, and Bobby asked me to step into the supervisor role, I was like, man, I must be really, really good.
Must be doing something right.
Well, was I good, or he just didn't like any of the other choices? Right. But it changed. I had skin in the game at that point, and so that's why when he was ready to retire, he pulled us. We used to call it having a beer with the boss. And what it is Bobby was diabetic, so he couldn't drink regular sodas or anything. He'd always have the sugar-free diet drinks or whatever. So when he'd tell me, hey, come over to the porch, because he lived right next door to our shop, had a huge porch that overlooks Monroe Street there, he would like, hey, let's go have a beer. Well, what that meant was we're going to go over there and drink a Sunkist diet soda on the porch. That was our beer drinking. And so many evenings after 5 o'clock, after the shop shut down, I'd just go over there and sit with him, because he was a single guy, older guy, didn't have a whole lot going outside of just work, And so many evenings we'd just sit there talking, and he was like, you know what, I'm tired. I'm ready to retire. I'm ready to shut it down. And I was like, bro, you shut this down. I don't have a job.
I don't have a job no more.
And I've been so vested here that it'd be hard for me to go anywhere else. Nobody's going to trust me anywhere else, kind of thing. And so he said, buy it from me. Just like that, buy it from me. And I'm sitting there thinking, I was like,
so I get
there's no bank in this world would loan me that kind of money, kind of thing. And Bobby said, I'm going to work a deal with you. He said, but I want you to buy it from me. And so we did. I signed a 10-year contract with him. He said, I'll even do you one better. He said, I'm going to tote the note for you. And he said, I'm going to do it at 5%. No bank would ever done that at 5%.
That's a good rate.
So I was like, wow.
And so he said, you got 10 years to pay me off. Well, I knew right then I had to do something. I have to move. And so I ramped it up. I ramped it up, and we really pushed, and we paid him off in 6.
That's what's up, brother.
So we knocked it out, and so it's ours. It's mine now, kind of thing. And but to get there, I ramped it up. I had 13 trucks running at one time. We were really ramping it up, and then of course, the scamdemic come in and knocked a bunch of that down for us, and now I'm running 6 trucks. I'm half of what I used to be. But it's gaining, it's growing, because the one good thing about the AI plants and the Fermis and things like that are coming in, they're running off. There's still work here in town that needs to be done. There's still, what's that's actually on the opposite side. They're helping us in the fact that they're bringing in all this population that we have to build the infrastructure for. We're going to have to do the more restaurants, the more houses, the more gas stations, things like that. And, some of the bigger companies are being so tied up that they can't catch the smaller, construction jobs. And that's what I'm here for. And I'm going to grab it, One thing when I first started with Bobby, we were strictly almost all just service work, just service company. He didn't like new construction residential. Well, that's what I was used to. That's what I was wiring houses in McKinney. I was like, why can't we wire houses? And he said, I'll tell you what. He said, we'll make a deal. Well, actually, it was Rex, his son-in-law, that was running the company at the time. Rex said, you buy all the material through the shop. You can go wire the houses on the weekends for yourself. More or less like he let me have the side job, which, we don't like side jobs. It's taken from the company. But he said, if you just he wanted the profit off the material, I could take all the labor for myself, because he's like, there's no money. You're not going to make no money. You're not going to make no money. Well, after I wired 5-6 houses, he was like,
Hold on.
I'm seeing some money here. And then all of a sudden we changed the rules. Now we're wiring new houses. And so I went out and I picked up a few builders. So we started wiring new houses. We were picking up, every now and then we'd like maybe run one job per year, commercial new construction. We did a lot of McDonald's remodels and things like that, which is not new construction. But we started picking up here and there. And so one of the things I really push for is we need to expand our horizons on what we could do.
Yeah.
And so I picked up Generac generators. When I became a Generac dealer, this is a little over 14 years ago, there was only a couple of us here in town. Only a couple. Right. And since then, one of those businesses went out of business. And now I think there's something like 8 different Generac generator dealers here in town. Dang. They saturated the market. Right. And so, now the biggest push is solar. Solar panels. You're seeing all these solar panels. Well, there's nobody really in town. I think maybe one contractor that does it, but it's all fly-by-night out-of-towners from Houston, Dallas, or whatever coming up here, and we're having trouble. I was talking with our chief inspector the other day about it. That they're getting their money and they're not following through. They'll throw some panels up there. They might commission it, they might not. And, so that's one venue that I'm looking at. But right now, the more studying I'm doing on this solar, especially when these solar panels only lasting 8 years or so, and then you have to replace them, are you really getting your money back out of them? So if I can't guarantee my customers are going to get maximum potential out of a sale like that, then I'm not going to do it. Right. So I've had tons of these guys knocking on my door like, hey, do solar, do solar, do solar. You can't prove to me that it's working yet.
Right. Right. That's a
staying for a long time.
Case in point, one of my neighbors that lives right down the street from me put a solar array on his house and on his shop. Okay. And they sold him. This was a company out of Dallas, I think, that come up and sold it to him. They sold him on the idea that he's going to be making this money because the electric meter is going to turn backwards. So you're going to make all this money off of the electrical company. Oh, wow. Well, I've never seen XL Energy give anybody a check for any of that. Never. Right? Mm-hmm. And so one day he asked me to come down there and let's test it. And so we shut his house completely off at the mains, left the solars on. So it should be backfeeding all this. That meter never moved. It's there. The potential is there if XL ever needs it. But if they don't need it, they don't take it. Right. And so this whole time you were sold on that premise that you're going to be making this extra money or at least credit, and that you don't. And, so I'm going to tell the guys out there that's thinking about solar, do your research. I don't see it's there yet.
See, and that's so we got to wrap it up. But sure. you bring up talking about trying to adapt, right? Like doing the Generac stuff and the solar energy. Some of the companies that have brought the solar energy in. That's kind of like with us and with our liner. I researched that industry for 5 years before I pulled the trigger. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I looked at all the different products, the difference between a felt liner, between a structural liner, all those different things. And we finally had Light Ray come out. Light Ray gave us a demonstration out there at our shop. Remember?
No, I wasn't involved in that.
You were out on a job, weren't you? Yeah, that was
Ricky. He was actually working, bringing the company money.
Yeah. Well, I had to do the demonstration, but once I did the demonstration, I was sold. I was hooked. And, we were the first company operating.
And that is a fascinating system. I've been looking at,
you're going to have to come out on a job with us. I like to.
I would love to see that.
He just got through shooting liner at a job in Borger, and so we were the first company to bring that to Amarillo, and of course some of the bigger chains followed suit afterwards, but they let us take the risk, and we showed that it could be done, and it's about evolving with the times and trying to offer our customers a better repair option. Absolutely. And it's not necessarily because liner isn't an end all be all in repairs. Yeah, because
if you don't have the money to repipe,
especially
it's an option. Options are awesome.
Yes. So kind of want to wrap this up with a final thought from you. Let's have a final thought from you. Anything and everything. You pick the topic, Bubba.
I want to go back to the younger guys getting into the trades. College isn't for everybody. No, it's not. Nor is it needed, in my opinion. You know, there is a place for it. There's always going to be need for doctors, lawyers, things like that.
Oh, 100%.
But if you want a career that's going to, you can raise a family on, there's not a thing wrong with being an electrician.
Oh, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
Especially, and if you get that opportunity, that you don't have to go to a trade school to become an electrician. You want to become an electrician?
It'll work for you.
Come talk to me.
Yeah.
We do on-the-job training. You're going to get paid while you do it. Put in 2 years, go get your first license. I'm going to give you a raise, give you a van. Go 2 more years, take that test, become a journeyman. You're going to get even more money. Mm-hmm. There's money to be made out there. Right. There's also the aspect of it, like me, I consider myself a mom and pop shop. You know, like I say, I run 6 trucks, 8 electricians. There's an opportunity. I'm going to retire. Right. You know, give me another 10 years or so.
And you're ready to
And
move.
I need somebody to take it over from me.
Right.
So this is the greatest opportunity right now to get into a trade. Go talk to those companies, jump in there. You don't have to have anything but just a will to work.
Okay, so
And
let's
it's that
tell them where they need to show up. Let's give them a phone number and an address.
I am always looking for good quality electricians, apprentices, HVAC techs as well.
Okay.
At Patrick Electric, Patrick Heating and Air, 1602 South Monroe, 806-374-0407.
All that information he just gave you, the address and the phone number, we're always looking for good plumbers too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, especially you youngsters coming in trying to do something. We need you. We
Yes,
all need
yes.
you.
We all need
The world needs you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's been a great show.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it, man.
right.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate your time, Bubba.
Yes, sir.
Man, you got some really cool stories, Bubba.
Texas Trade Talks with Paul Watson.